those familiar with my channel might be surprised to see me doing another video about the Boyds Savage Axis stock. From a previous video, I listed some of the reasons why I no longer like them and why I'd be switching away from them for future projects. However, recently they offered a product that caught my attention. It was a solid Birch stock for the Savage Axis, as well as one for a Ruger American and a Mosin Nagant. Solid Birch, which struck me as unusual. I decided to get one. They were only $80 a piece, just to examine it, see how it worked. It had some features, or it had the look of the OEM stock for the Savage Axis 2 XP hardwood. I thought maybe if this one might have pillars in it, it could be worth the money even if it were full price. But let me show you what I found. Okay, so here's the Savage Axis in the stock. You can see it's evenly brown. It's birch that's been stained. The grain here looks pretty good as it is, but it's hard to tell if it has any of the flame figuring that I commonly associate with birch. Birch is an underused wood in my opinion. It can be just as beautiful as most grades of walnut. When you get into the upper grades, obviously walnut sort of takes the case, but birch is one of the underused hardwoods out there for gun stocks. The other thing you'll notice is that it's not one of the patterns that Boyds typically has listed on their website. It almost looks like a classic, but it doesn't have a rollover cheek piece on either side. See down here. It doesn't have finger grooves up top, and it's also got a flat belly or flat bottom here. So it's rather unusual. And like I said, I immediately, when I saw the pictures of it in the mailing, thought it was the OEM stock that they make for Savage. But unfortunately, it does not have pillars installed. It's just the standard escutcheon and mag latch plate. So that was a bit disappointing, but otherwise it's a pretty nice piece. It ships with a plastic trigger guard. This is a stainless replacement one. I typically order one whenever I order a Boyds Savage Axis stock, and I've got a few on hand just from other projects I haven't transferred them to. But it's a pretty well-made piece of wood. As always, Boyds does a good job of machining and milling the wood. The wood itself looks pretty good. There were a few nicks and dings along some of the corners and edges, like along the mag well. Let me put this in right. Maybe I did put it in right, it's just ill-sized. Well, whatever the case may be. A little ding like along the mag well and along the rails. There are some dents and dings as well. But other than that, it's actually pretty good. A nice piece of wood and an ambidextrous stock, which is great because I'll be able to put on a Kydex cheek piece to raise it. The comb is still a bit low for my taste, and especially with a scope of this size. It's a 40 millimeter, check that, 42 millimeter bell. But yeah, it was a good piece, good investment. It's not as good as I had hoped, but for $80, it's pretty decent. I should say $80 plus about $14 for the steel or stainless steel trigger guard. I also picked up one of the Ruger American stocks. This is on my 450 Bushmaster, and it looks pretty nice as well. I've got to say, I only got the plastic stock that came with the rifle to go on, but it's a good complement to it. The barrel channel I don't think is cut for the 450 Bushmaster. I don't know if the profile is that much different from a normal sporter barrel, but it's not free floated on this one. Savage Axis is free floated. This one is not. It may be on standard rifle calibers. The stock would work just perfectly. The other interesting thing to note about this is that it comes with the recoil lug hardware. The Ruger American has the two V-blocks as recoil lugs, and it comes with both of those. But it also comes with two replacement action screws. These are not the action screws that came with the original stock. They just didn't fit. It also came with a Savage style trigger guard. This is in fact one of the pieces I had in my kit, in my little parts box for the Savage Axis stocks I normally get from Boyds. But it fits perfectly and it works exactly as well. And other than that, just like the other one, the grain looks pretty good. You can't really tell though because the stain sort of deadens everything, deadens the natural character of birch, which is disappointing because I do like birch. I'll show you. There it is. My favorite M1 rifles. You can see it's got this lovely flame pattern. Not all birch has this, but at the same time, when you got the stain covering all the grain figure, you really can't tell one way or the other, which is kind of disappointing. But anyway, installation on both of these was a breeze, nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary. Never done an aftermarket trigger for a Ruger American, so that was a little bit trickier for me, but it wasn't too bad at all. The Savage Axis was a drop-in fit, as usual. After you place the trigger guard, everything's good to go. The action screw holes were a little tight. They required me actually to thread the screws through the wood to get to the action. But that's going to be widened up anyway when I inevitably pillar this, because like I said, unfortunately, they don't include the pillars. So yeah, if you have any questions, please let me know. It seems like a pretty darn good investment. $80, you can't really go wrong. One of the complaints that I had with the Savage Axis stocks from Boyds was that the price kept increasing while the quality of materials kept decreasing. In this case, the price is going down, so these are still an excellent value. Come with a recommendation from me. So yeah, leave any questions you have. I'd be happy to answer them as best I can. Have a great day.